So I had another manic, crazy racing day. And my hair's crazy. So this night of basically begging for help in my manic, crazy, brain-broken way, I figured I'd end it. This giant, long, crazy journey I've been on that's, for me, long. I know for some people it's way longer, but I've always moved things very quickly in my life. In my life, it's how I process things. I want them to be done so I can move on. Because most of the time, everything that I dealt with was really bad. So I just wanted it to be done. And this group that started because of a journal entry and all the things that my crazy, maniacal brain is constantly thinking up now. It is exhausting, but it's the most exhilarating feeling I've ever had in my life. So I thought, before I have to give up my single tablet so that the baby can have music to wake up to, and I try to wind down my crazy, fast, confusing brain so that I can try to sleep, I figured I would just end it with a journal entry, like I started everything. A lot of stuff from this has happened, and it's been surreal. That's the first thing. It's been surreal, and it's been enlightening. It's been uplifting. It's been amazing. It's been at times torturous, because up until very recently, and even now still, I torture myself. I carry other people's pain, and I don't want that to ever be interpreted as you need to shield anything from me, or that anybody has to. I'd love, because now I'm able to take it and not hurt myself with it, and the reason I'm able to do that is because of this group that inadvertently started. I was just at the end. I was just at the end. And though I had feigned attempting suicide many times, that was the final night where I was ready, not just to welcome the warm arms of death, because that's easy. You know, a lot of us think that we want to kill ourselves just because the idea of death sounds really nice, and it's not that. It's that sometimes pain is so bad that the idea of death is just comforting. It still scares you. It's still something you don't want. There's a reason you haven't done it. But sometimes it's just a nice place to go to think about the idea of the release and the comfort. And I had been there many, many times, and then there was many times in my mania and my drunken hazes, and then my TBI and drunken hazes. There was many times that I pushed it, even though I didn't truly want it. I pushed it a lot further and got really close a lot of times. Probably put me in the situation that got me hurt. And along with the brain injury, now I lose place. But I just wanted help. I just wanted somebody to understand me, to hope that somebody understood me in some way. And I found a lot of people. And not only did I find a lot of people, I found a lot of love, and I found a lot of hope, and I found a lot of support, which there's not a time I remember in my life where I wasn't trying to carry the world on my back. And it's partly it's my fault. I did it to myself, to a degree. But now the fight, what's frustrating now for me is I've been touched by something that I've never felt in my life. You can use a word as innocuous as God, or as simple as God. For me, that means it's just a word. It's a word people created. The idea of God is so immense that it's the only thing for us to do is to truly be meek about it and say, we don't know what the full answer is. The only answer you can know to yourself is, do you feel God, yes or no? A lot of times in my life, I thought I did, but I wasn't sure what the feeling was. And now, more and more and more and more, I do. I believe in God in my sense, in the scientific and ethereal sense, but I do. I feel God moving through me, and I feel a purpose to my life again, one that I haven't felt since I was 8 years old. And that's why I feel and act the way I do, so excited, so manic sometimes, because how does an 8-year-old act when they're excited? How does an 8-year-old act when they're sad? How does an 8-year-old act? And that's not to say that I act like an 8-year-old boy. I don't. I now take on my responsibilities and the consequences of my actions very seriously. I'm probably more of an adult now than I've ever been. But the part of you that you lose when you're growing up, that what I think is 8 years old, 8, 9 years old, is kind of like the perfect age. You're just old enough that when you go back and you remember it with eyes that you can connect to and rationalize with. Things from when you're like a toddler, just way too abstract, you know? But things from like 8, 9, you remember pretty well, and they're right before the corruption of puberty and then adulthood. And we lose it, or at least we think we lose it. And I believe that the floodgates, the filters that existed, that got removed, and filters, is now associated with such a bad thing with the whole TBI community. We're constantly sitting there going, it's losing place again. Yeah, it is what it is. And now I almost completely forgot what I'm talking about, and I almost never do that on a video. That's how hectic all of this has become. Despite the way people try to downplay me sometimes, my whole life I actually shamed myself because I would get so passionate about certain ideas, and people would always say, calm down, Josh, calm down, calm down. And I've learned, yes, I do need to calm down sometimes. But my passion, there's nothing wrong with it. That is a part of who I am, who I accept now, and this thing. I accept it, and I love it now. I mean, I truly love it. I realize that giving into whatever it is that I am, as off-putting as it may be to some, helps me put this thing back together. And in some weird ways, I'm really thankful for the brain injury. There's other ways I'm not. I wish I could watch my kids again. I wish I could remember to make food for myself more often. I wish I didn't get so annoyed at the smallest things in the world. I wish that the way I truly felt came out more often, so that I didn't have to do things like long-winded speeches to be able to get my point across. I wish people understood that. And I wish, more than anything, that this feeling I get from God that's telling me all these things that I'm trying, this TBI&i, this 315, the book, the documentary. People forget about these things. Some of them are working on them. Other people's books, other people's projects. Everything I wrote in the beginning of when I started that page, because I got kicked out of another one, everything I wrote was, and what the mission was real. I don't remember to say it out loud all the time because I literally just don't remember, but I still feel it. This is a thing where I want it to get as big as possible so it can help as many people as possible. And as we know statistically, there's so many out there. That's why I'm so passionate about it, and that's why I'm so impatient about it. One, because I have a brain injury and it makes me impatient. And the other part is, how can you be patient on restoring hope and love? I don't understand that part. That's maybe where I get the most impatient, and where I don't understand how that's a miscommunication because of a brain injury, I guess. That's why I get frustrated sometimes. But that's my journal entry.